Have you ever opened up a stock chart and asked yourself, what do all of these red and green candlesticks mean? Like, I just want to trade. How do I do that? Well, in today's video, I'm going to be teaching you guys all of the basics in the most simplest way possible on how to read a candlestick and how to actually read a chart, even if you've never taken a trade or have zero experience when it comes to looking at charts. So you want to sit back and watch this video until the end, because by the end of this video, you will know how to read charts better, what a candlestick is, and how to take entries based off of the candlesticks that you see. So let's get into it. So one of the biggest challenges you're probably facing right now is how to read a chart and understand what's actually going on the chart, which is why we're going to jump into TradingView. You see, TradingView is going to be a platform you want to go ahead and download on your laptop, on your iPad, or on your cell phone, so that way you can actually view these charts in real time. So let's actually jump straight into my TradingView right now and explain everything you need to know about a candlestick, charting, and how to actually understand what's going on the charts. So welcome to TradingView. If you're serious about trading or investing in the stock market, this is going to be a place you're going to spend a ton of your time. So you want to make sure you take the time out to actually learn it. Now, right now, what we're currently looking at is the Apple stock. And right now we're seeing those green and red candlesticks again, right? But right now I want you to kind of think of it as a battle that's going on, a battle between buyers and sellers. And each one of these candlesticks is telling you a different story. So right now, when you guys see a green candlestick, I also want you guys to think of buyers are in control. Whenever you see red candlesticks, this means that sellers are in control. And each one of these candlesticks, like I said, are painting a different picture. So these candlesticks actually have names. This is a bullish candlestick. So think of a bull whose horns are pointing up, right? And then these are bearish candlesticks. Think of bears, they walk on their hands. This means sellers are in control. Bulls mean buyers are in control. So each one of these candlesticks, like I said, is painting a different story. But how do you actually read a candlestick? Well, let's actually zoom in on one right here. So this candlestick is a bullish candlestick. But the first thing you need to understand is what makes up a candlestick. So right here we have the body, and I'll go ahead and outline it by marking out the body. Okay, so let's first explain the body of a candlestick. So on a bullish candlestick, the candlestick opens at the bottom down here and it closes at the top. So basically it closes higher than where it opened at, which means buyers are in control, right? So this specific stock, which is Apple, opened at $238.29 on this candlestick, and then it ended up closing at $240.36, right? So buyers won that particular battle. The next thing you need to understand is the fact that a red candlestick, right, is the opposite, right? So we actually opened at the top and we closed at the bottom. So the price during this candlestick opened at $240.66, and then we closed at the bottom of the body, which is $239.53. So this portion that we marked out is called the body, okay? And this is where we opened, this is where we closed. On a bullish candlestick, we opened here, we closed here, okay? Now, the next thing you need to see is something called wicks or shadows, okay? And these are they're going to be those little things at the bottom. So there's different names: wicks, shadows, tails, right? Whatever way you want to explain it, but I'll call it wicks for right now, okay? And this is the highest point that price has went and the lowest point price has went. And this does not change on a bearish candlestick. This is still the highest point that price has went. And then down here, this little itty bitty wick down here, this is the lowest that price has went during this particular candle. So when you're reading candlesticks, I want you guys to remember that, hey, there's a battle going on. There's one party winning and the other one is losing. However, I also want you to understand this. A candlestick is representing price and time. So whenever you look at a chart, you're going to always see different prices over here on the right. And down here, it's going to be different times. So the really cool thing about TradingView is that you can look at different candlesticks at different time frames because they're going to tell different stories. Now, I know I'm kind of getting a little ahead of myself, but I kind of want to show you this because it is very important. So up here, this is going to be the different time intervals you can choose from. So you have a 15-minute time frame, which means every single one of these candlesticks is representing 15 minutes of price moving. You have a 30-minute, which is going to be the same exact thing, but now every single candlestick represents 30 minutes of price moving and whether or not, you know, one party is winning or the other one is winning, okay? and then so on and so forth. You got an hour, 4 hour, day, week, month, so on and so forth. And every time frame is painting a different story. So depending on the type of trader that you are, you're going to be using certain time frames over others. So now you understand a bullish candlestick, which is when buyers are in control, and you also understand a bearish candlestick when sellers are in control. You also understand that a candlestick is representing two things: price and time. So when you're trying to read or understand a chart, one of the most important things is to look at the body of the candlestick and how it closes. So what do I mean by that? Let's actually look at an example. Let's take a look at this example here. So when you guys are reading a candlestick, if there is a long wick on one side, this is basically price rejecting that level, right? So think of it as like price really didn't like being down there. The buyers really didn't like when sellers were all the way down here, right? So this candle opens. At first it was red and it pushes and it pushes and it pushes. The sellers are winning right now. And then the buyers step back in and they say, absolutely not, we're gonna win this battle. And the candlestick ends up closing green. So the reason this is important is because it shows you who is currently winning that battle. And if you can understand how to read the wicks of these candlesticks, it will tell you a ton of different things about the actual price action. So when I say price action, this is basically price moving, okay? So this candlestick right here, right, would have represented price not liking to be all the way down here, okay? When buyers step back in and it closes like this, this is telling you that buyers are more so in control. We rejected these lows, we pushed up higher, and then we ended up opening and pushing even higher towards the buyer's direction or towards the upside. So the reason this is so important, when you guys are reading wicks or reading these types of candlesticks, they will tell you who is in control, right? So a lot of the times, you know, one of the things that I like to do is I'll go up to a higher time frame, right? And I'll look at these different types of candles. You can also see the types of candles that you are going to get based off of certain levels. So what do I mean by certain levels? I mean support and resistance. Support is basically the floor. So if I took a tennis ball and I threw it at the floor as hot as I could, it's going to bounce off of the floor. If I took that same tennis ball and I threw it up at the ceiling, it's probably going to come back down and hit me in the face, right? So these are your ceilings and your floors. Think of it as when price gets to this ceiling, it is likely to reject or come back down. When price gets to this floor, then it is likely bounce from the floor and go back up. So now that you guys understand some of the basics of a candlestick, it's important to talk about candlestick patterns. So these are different types of candlesticks that actually present themselves during the day while you're trading. So remember, when you guys are looking at candlesticks, this is live battle or live action of buyers and sellers buying this particular stock. Now, with that being said, these candlesticks will look completely different when they close. So this is why I told you guys it is very, very important to pay attention to the close of the candlestick as opposed to only looking at the candlestick while it's live. So right here, this is a candlestick pattern that you guys can go check out on Google, or if you guys want, I can go ahead and send it over to you. So if you click the link down below in the description, there is a free 7-hour course that you guys can take, and this is included in it. And this is for complete beginners. It's 100% free. I have nothing to sell you in this video. So with that being said, you can pretty much just go click the link and grab this and download it straight to your phone if you want. All right. So inside of this candlestick reference sheet, this is going to tell you different types of candlesticks that present themselves. A few of which are hammers, inverted hammers, doji candles, spinning tops, Marubozus, hanging man, shooting stars, gravestones, so on and so forth. So the things that I really want you guys to take away from this video is not only do you understand the candlestick now, but I highly recommend choosing maybe 2 or 3 or 4 of these candlestick patterns and try to spot them when the market is live. And the reason that I say you should do this is because if you can learn how to spot these types of candlesticks, around a key level, whether it's support or resistance, if you can learn how to spot these particular candlesticks, it will make you a lot better trader because you can have a better idea of where price can go. Because at any point in time, when you guys are watching the charts, in order to understand how the chart is going to move or where price can go, you have to look left. You have to look at the past, because at the end of the day, price has memory. If you've never heard of that, well, there you go. Price has memory in a sense where price will likely go back to recent levels that it was at in the past, whether it's from last month, last year, last quarter, yesterday, so on and so forth. So seeing these candlesticks in certain levels will drastically help you understand where price can go. So with that being said, let's get into this reference sheet. So as you guys can see, some of my favorite candlestick patterns to really memorize is going to be hammers, inverted hammers, dojis, shooting stars, and hanging mans. So these are the ones that I personally believe that if you really master them, they're easy to spot, they're easy to recognize. So yeah. So how does a hammer work, right? So this is a bullish signal. So when price is selling off and we're starting to come into a level of resistance, you can tell by the wick. So price did not like being down at that level, and we started to see buyers step in and take back control, and eventually taking full control and pushing back up to the upside. So you are likely to see a hammer around a support level, okay? An inverted hammer, same exact thing, right? You see sellers that are in control, right? When you see this inverted hammer, it is showing you that buyers are taking back control and we swing back to the upside. A Dragonfly Doji is basically when you have a very small body at the top, showing you that sellers were in control and buyers took back control. So the reason I'm explaining these things in this way is because it's easier to remember it like this. Think of who's taking control, who's taking back control, or defending certain areas or reclaiming certain areas, so on and so forth, okay? Then we have some spinning tops. So neutral, okay? So a Doji candle is going to be one of those ones you're gonna see very often. However, when you guys see this candlestick that looks like a cross, it's a very small body close in somewhere in the middle. This is an indecision candle. It's basically telling you, hey, we don't know who's in control, so you want to wait until the next candle prints to kind of get a better idea of who is in control. So you kind of want to wait until you see the next candle to see who exactly is in control. So another candle that you guys will see very often is a Marubozu. And basically this is showing you like, hey, there's no wicks to the upside or the downside. So whoever is in control right now has extreme control. And the really cool thing that you need to understand about candlesticks is when you see a candlestick that closes like this means they are closing with strength. Like they have full power. The opposite party was not able to have any type of control, and likely after a candlestick like this, it is to continue in that direction. So none of this stuff is 100%. It's just good patterns to see. I wish something was out there that was like 100% right all the time, but that's just not the case, okay? So now let's talk about some bearish candlesticks, okay? So you got a hanging man. You're likely to see this around a resistance level, around the ceiling. This is when buyers are in control. You see this hanging man here, which is a candlestick pattern, and then sellers take back control, okay? There's also a shooting star where price is pushing up to the upside, right? You're likely to see this around a ceiling. When you see this type of candlestick, it reverses, right? Or setting up for a reversal. And then same thing for a gravestone doji. Price then like to be up there. We closed and have a very small body to the downside before we swing back to the downside, all right? So I highly recommend mastering just a few of these single candle patterns before moving on to double candle patterns. So a few of which are bullish kickers, I personally love. Bullish and bearish engulfings, I absolutely love. And then you also have to take into consideration. And then you also have tweezer bottoms, which I don't use as much. So the main ones from the double candle patterns that I personally like is bearish and bullish engulfings, bearish and bullish kickers. So what is the best way to kind of study and master these particular candlesticks? Well, first, I highly recommend maybe getting some note cards and maybe drawing them out and just having the names under it and then the definition of what's actually going on and whether or not it's bullish or bearish. Just keep it super simple, okay? The second way to really practice this and get the hang of this is by trying to spot them in the market. So there's this thing where you can back test, where you go over to TradingView and you just go back in time and you look for these candlestick patterns. So that way you can see how it actually moved after you've seen the particular candlestick pattern. Now, these particular candlestick patterns can happen on any time frame. So remember, when you're on TradingView and you're switching between different time frames, it is basically showing you what price has done between each one of those time frames. So if you're on a 30-minute chart, each one of those candlesticks is 30 minutes of price moving, okay? From the open to the close to the highest point to the lowest point, all right? So this is a very important reference sheet. I highly recommend that you guys check out. So click the link down below in the description if you want to access it. So now that you've made it to this portion of the video, you now know how to read a candlestick. You also comprehend what's going on the charts, and you know that it's just a battle between buyers and sellers, and you want to watch for certain candlestick patterns around resistance and support levels, which is your ceiling and your floor. So now that you guys understand these things, I want to quickly remind you that if you click the link down below in the description, you guys will be able to access a free 7-hour course. I have nothing to sell you in this video, so you guys can feel free to go check that out. It's going to go over all of these things, and it'll have that candlestick pattern reference sheet in there as well, so you can download and keep on your computer, or you know, you can actually print it out and laminate it if you like. But other than that, if you guys really like this video, please make sure you guys leave a subscribe. It helps the channel a ton, and let me know down below in the comments what video you want to see next. But other than that, my name is Dantes Akram. I can't wait to see you guys in the next video. Peace.